Hey folks, Dan Brake again. How you doing? Got more great responses from that solo video or improv video that I did recently. Hope you enjoy it. Blah blah blah. Anyways, I'm gonna do another one. The first video, which people seem to like a lot, was all double thumb stuff, and this is just kind of an add-on to that. I'm gonna add in kind of some of my thoughts about popping, which is using your index finger and or middle finger, if you want to get intense with it, to kind of grab onto the string like that and pull it off, and it makes the string hit the metal of the frets and makes this nice popping sound. Very common in stuff like funk, or if you've ever heard any Victor Wooten stuff, you know the sound. So just to get started, quick reminder, double thumb is just using the thumb kind of as a pick, just striking the string up and down. So now adding in finger can be kind of difficult. You kind of need to loosen up your wrist a little bit. One thing, don't be stiff. Stiffness will, for one, injure you, and it makes the technique extremely hard to pull off. So, really loose. You want to keep your arm and wrist and fingers as fluid as possible. And one of the easiest ways to kind of get used to this is just doing an octave pattern. So say I'm going to do the open E string and second fret on the D string, which is an octave up from that, another E. And what I like to do to kind of get warmed up, and basically the way I started learning this style of stuff, was just doing this. And you just do thumb down, thumb up, and then pluck on that E, an octave up. And even, maybe leave in a quarter note after that higher note, just to kind of let your hand reset, get used to the feeling of it. And a lot of mistakes that I see people making with this is, notice when I watch my index finger, I'm hardly moving it at all when I'm doing the plucking. A lot of people tend to think that you have to do a motion like this. But what you're really doing is kind of hooking onto it and creating tension so that the string automatically just kind of leaves your finger. It's more about physics and less about yanking on the string. Not like that so much, but more like... And it can be kind of tough to get that slappy, or poppy rather, sound while doing that sometimes. But this is much more efficient, still gets the same effect across, and sounds the same, looks the same. So as you can see, just drawing my finger basically across the string. And then you can kind of get a little bit more advanced with it by, coming up with different grooves, stuff like that. With this kind of stuff, I tend to use thumb way more than I use finger. But an easy way to think about this is kind of think about drums. You've got the bass drum outlining basically the overall underlying beat. So like if it's on 2 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you've got stuff like hi-hats and snare drum adding accents. That's kind of what you want to get this finger to do, or both fingers rather. You want to kind of use that to accentuate and kind of use the thumb to be your bass drum, your anchor, I guess. So like, if that's the bass drum part, we'll say. And then add a snare. So like right there is just E, and then a G on the D string, 5th fret on the D string, E again, and then D on the A string, which is 5th fret again. Now, with the E exercise, where it was just this spacing, 2 strings apart, is about the most common spacing you'll get when doing this kind of stuff, because a lot of times, if people want this sound, you're pretty much going to be doing octaves, maybe like disco type stuff, or just accenting the under harmony and not doing a whole lot of other stuff. But like with that last example I had, you notice these two are just 1 string apart, not 2 like the normal octaves that we think of doing. The one thing that people tend to miss and don't really talk about is you're not keeping your hand the exact same while doing that. What you'll kind of notice is that my hand starts to kind of tilt a little bit. So, watch this. I'll do an A on the E string and a C on my G string. Notice how I've got this big gap right here. Now I'm going to do that same thing, but then go to a G after that. I'm kind of moving my finger in a little bit, and now I'm going to go from the C to the G to the D. Oops, sorry. It's almost like I start to rotate my hand in a little bit to make sure that my thumb and index finger are lining up a little bit more. And then some people can go as far as to even doing stuff on the same string, like if you have a really fast passage where you're just doing 8th notes or something. And this is tough to phrase because you want to try and keep, you know, the steady downbeat, the tough downbeat. But some people will even do all 3 on the same string. Some people, like Victor Wooten, obviously, as an example, will do 4 hits on a single string, like that's really tough, especially with a 6-string bass with this little spacing. But it's just, you know, down, up, index pluck, middle pluck. Tough. I sometimes, on occasion, will do 3 like that. And what kind of sucks is when you're in tough spots, like, or tight spots like this, you kind of do have to do more of an actual pluck with your finger in order to get in there and get out to sound the string. Anyways, so kind of just a quick wrap up. I know this is kind of a brief explanation, but this is kind of the basic workings of this. Not so much of an actual tugging, pulling, usually more of a rolling. And one of the best exercises you can do is just turn on a metronome. Make sure you're hitting everything evenly on time. Of course, this has been drilled into everybody's head, but it makes a huge difference. Make sure you're doing everything in time. So like that's about the most common thing you'll do with this kind of stuff if you use it in like a gig setting. But anyways, that's kind of my brief wrap up of adding that finger into the thumb stuff. If you have any questions about it, comment on the video. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Hopefully this angle works. I might use this for some more videos because I think this might be a decent angle for working on right hand stuff. Hopefully you can see everything I was doing with my right finger or index finger. I've made that mistake a few times already. Anyways, hope you enjoy. Once again, ask away on the questions, and I'll see you all soon.